Video is we are going to do a taxi to runway 09 at Liverpool, and then we're going to take off on our way to Dublin. So you might ask, how do we do this? Well, it's rather simple. Let's get these off. There we go. So here's what we're going to do. Set that to on. Okay, so killed the LDU in the last video. We got our aircraft ready for taxi. We've got LNAV armed, which should engage at 400 feet AGL. So what we're going to do is we're going to taxi to Alpha 8 up to holding point Charlie via Alpha 8. So let's say ATC said to us now, Ryanair 322 taxi to holding point Charlie via Alpha 8. What we're going to do is we're going to select flaps 5 set, monitor the gauge here just to make sure that there's no flap asymmetry, and that should go from amber to green once it passes the first gate. There we go. Second, and there's flap 5. There we go. So that's set now. We've verified that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our taxi lights and runway turn-off lights on. Make sure your steering tiller's working, as the Boeing 737's rudder pedals, it can only provide you with 7 degrees of steering. With the tiller, you'll get 78 degrees of steering. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce thrust, only up to 30% N1. It depends on the slope of the terrain. For any flat surface, probably 30% M1. It depends what sim you're in. If you're using the PMDG, it might have different characteristics, or if you're using the iFly 737 as well. So, or hey, even if you're using the default Max on Microsoft Flight Sim 2024, that's another thing to take into account as well. So we're just going to turn slightly. Don't taxi above 20 knots. Just keep it nice and smooth. Sorry if the taxi lines are a bit hard to follow here. There we go. Keep it rolling. It's a bit, surfaces are a bit wet today. Didn't expect any better from the UK. There we go. Then we're just going to make a nice right turn here. Don't want to overdo it. If you need to correct, feel free to on your steering. There we go. So we're going to verify that all our flight controls are working, like our rudders, ailerons and elevators, and then we're also going to verify that we've got our takeoff parameters set correctly on the mode control panel. That's the MCP, that's your autopilot panel basically. And in these tutorials I wanted to keep things simple just so you can follow along. I want you to hold at this point here. Make sure when you're taxiing you're looking out for the signs as well, because if you don't, you could end up going the wrong way. You can also refer to the charts as well. I know Navigraph's got a feature with SimLink, so you can see where you are and you can see all the taxi signs around you. If that's something that's useful to you, use it. So, now we've done that, what we're going to do, let's say Tower said, Ryanair 322, clear for takeoff, runway 09, winds, insert winds here. We're going to get our landing lights on. This is called a gang bar, this here, and this will put all your lights on for you. Then after that we're going to set our strobe lights to on. It's no longer in nav mode now, it's actually on. Then we're going to set our transponder to TARA on our TCAS. Fuel flow reset, then rate. And now we're ready to line up. We're going to verify our V2 speed, our heading and our altitude. Obviously we don't want it set at flight level 240, we're going to set that to 4000 right now. I don't know why it loaded in at that. There we go, 4000. Auto throttle armed. Make sure you've got LNAV or VNAV set if you require it. Now we're just going to go ahead and line up. Just going to roll nicely onto the runway. You don't have to follow the yellow line to line up. Line up as you see fit. There's nothing there saying that you must follow the yellow line. Yes, the whole point of these tutorials is to keep them simple for beginners. Easy to follow as well. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. So line up with the runway. Go, we're on runway 09er. If you have any mods installed, if you've got a runway alert and advisory system, the RAS, you should hear it announcing what runway that you're on. So now we're lined up on runway 09er. What we can do now, got the flaps set, make sure your flaps are set, and make sure your trim is set as well. Start switches are in continuous, make sure of that. And then from here on out, what we're going to do is we're going to set the chrono just when we're about to take off. We're going to set 40% M1. If you're in icing condition, set it to 70% for about 30 seconds. So, without further ado, let's set the chronos. One more thing as well, if you're in the Zebo, push this little button here. If you're in the PMDG, press this one here. There's two little click spots, saves you having to go down to the toga button down there. Take off and go around, that's what it stands for. So, we're basically ready for takeoff at this point. So let's go ahead, release the parking brake, set 40% M1. Once it stabilizes, once you see the EGT decrease, we're going to set toga thrust. I want you to push down on your yoke, just very slightly. There we go, EGT is decreasing, toga. There we go, perfect. So just try and hold the runway centerline up until 80 knots. 80 knots, checked. V1, rotate. Just going to pull back here. There we go. And now, what you want to do, positive rate, gear up. Follow the flight directors, these magenta lines here, just on your primary flight display there. Don't follow it above 20 degrees, you've got to be cautious about that. We've passed the MFRA, we're going to put the flaps up. Up, there we go. LNAV's now ready to be engaged, so it's active but it's not activated. Still running on climb thrust now. And then whenever you're ready you can go ahead and engage Command A. Let's go ahead and do that now, Command A. There, so now we've engaged Command A. The autopilot has full control over the aircraft. One thing I missed out, I apologise. Engage VNAV at 1000 feet. That's something else. See, the aircraft's having a bit of trouble keeping up with that. So flaps up after takeoff checklist. We're going to go landing gear up and off. Auto brake off. Start switches off. Taxi light off. And since we're above 3000 feet now, we'll set the retractables to off. Once we're above 10,000, we're going to turn the runway turn-offs off as well. Make sure to stay about 250 knots below flight level 250. There, we've got an off-schedule descent. If you do come across this, if you do get one, I'm going to do lower that down, put it back up. There we go. I'll just cancel the alert there. This is we're running really light today, so this thing will just shoot into the air. Okay, so let's say ATC told us now to climb to flight level 170. Going to do is going to set 170, and then we're going to set Alt Intervent. You might have to push it twice, but it'll put VNav into the logic of climb. There we go. VNav speed. So whenever you see these things here, like VNav speed, this is basically what VNav is prioritizing. So it'll always put that first. VNav speed, it's prioritizing the speed and so forth. There we go. And as you can see, the aircraft start climbing, passing the transition altitude, so select standard on your standby instruments as well. Just this little button here, standard. This will revert to 1013 on the barometric pressure. There we go, climbing now. No visible moisture, so we're not going to turn the anti-ice on. Turn the weather radar on now. Not that it's very useful in X-plane. Oh, I didn't set the chronos. Oh god. You miss things out sometimes. Okay. Passing 10,000 feet, we can get our lights off now. Ooh. There we go, and the reason we turn the retractables off is just because we want to avoid cockpit glare as well, if it's dark. There we go, passing 10,000, the aircraft will start speeding up with VNav. There we go. On our climb page, we should see when we should reach our top of climb. Roughly 60 nautical miles at the rate that we're currently climbing. So let's say if they cleared us to flight level 240, which is the altitude that we're cruising at. Make sure to keep your heading updated as well, your heading bug with your current heading as well. If you have a look at the next one here, this is useful. 306 is our next heading. You see there. The VOR needle there will flip round as we pass the Wallasey VOR. You can see it on the standby instrument and on the navigational display as well. So the needle will flip round when we cross it. From to from. So we've now passed the Wallasey VOR. And now we're on our way to Pennell. So if we zoom out a bit now, what we'll see on here is the top climb. Here. And this little green banana, as they call it, or the green arc, is where we expect to level off within our altitude. And that's just at the top of climb. Correct the heading. There we go. And now we're approaching flight level 240. Brilliant. So let me just talk about these buttons here. Whichever one the MA enunciation reads for the flight director, that's the one that currently has priority. CO is convert, so if we push speed intervention, this will open the speed window up. And now we can set our speed manually, even in VNav. Convert will convert it to Mach, but you must be above a certain flight level to do so. If you push it again, it will close the window. There. Vertical speed, you don't need to use this that much. Okay, so you can see our N1 is still in climb mode now. You see there. And now we're on VNav path. This is now prioritizing our pitch. we go. We'll just level off at 240. Brilliant. Okay, so that was the 737 takeoff tutorial. If you want to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. And if you want to make a booking with us, I've got all the links listed below for the Zebo and other mods that I use with X-Plane 12. Thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure. See you in the next one.